to the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 323 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, June 4th, 2024. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush, getting ahead of myself. James, I thought about just not saying anything at the beginning of this and just waiting to see how long it took for you to take it.
The idea in your head stumbled you up.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm here right now. I have no idea why I am recording this. I don't know why I'm on tonight. You did such a good job without me that I don't think I need to be here.
I don't know about that.
No, you did freaking awesome, dude. It was amazing.
You know, I really appreciate that because it was, doing it solo was a little bit nerve-wracking.
It's hard, isn't it, to sit there and talk to yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge, but then I don't know. I think last week's pod, I think the first 5 minutes are a little shoddy.
No, it's great all the way through, but go ahead. Keep going.
No, I could feel myself being nervous, and then I just kind of settled in after a while, and I just kind of cruised through what I had written down. I definitely prepared a lot better than I normally do.
You mean you prepared more than not at all?
Well, I didn't script anything out, but
See,
I definitely knew the bullet
stuff out when I do it by myself.
Yeah. No, I did not. I didn't script anything. I just had bullet points, and I made sure. I'm like, okay, James, go through the notes. Everything you need to say is in the notes, and just go. But no, I appreciate you saying that, man. And
you didn't sound nervous at all. Like you said, you messaged ahead of time and kind of warned me, and I'm like, so I'm expecting to turn it on and just be like almost cringing, as I'm listening to it. And it's like, holy crap, this is awesome. I'm thinking why is James James the second guy? Why is he so quiet on the show? He should lead this sucker sometimes. He does a great job.
It's definitely more comfortable to have somebody to bounce things back and forth.
Well, for sure.
I think it's, and I don't know how long a solo pod can be entertaining. The fact that that thing went over 35 minutes, I was like, wow, I can't believe I could spew that much content out of my face.
I was disappointed when it was over, so you did good.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. It's not as easy though, I'll tell you that.
Well, thanks for taking the reins and keeping it alive for the week while I was gone.
We did. Yeah, we did. We kept it alive. There was a lot of things to talk about.
Yeah.
So I think some of those things we're going to end up talking about again this week.
It's possible. One of those topics might be a heavy topic tonight, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I was going to do my checkered flag early since you brought it up, but right. I had a lot of people reach out to me after that episode, and I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who listens because I heard some really nice things about that one. Awesome. I was not expecting that. So get rid of that other bozo and just take the sucker over. Yeah. Well, I was joking with you about that. I'm like, wow. Yeah. Because you were, going to what you were doing that kept you so busy. The Saginaw Spirit ended up winning the dang thing. And I'm like, well, shoot, I'm going to have to solo pod again because Eric's going to be taking pictures for the rest of eternity with this damn team.
Well,
they're crushing it.
I will admit I'm less prepared and less researched this week than normal. But I did watch the Cup race, and I did watch most of the Xfinity race. I did not watch the truck race. So you're going to have to, whatever you know on it, you're going to have to take over on that one. I've got the results, and I know who won. But I only know who won because of seeing, I don't remember. I think I saw it in our group chat. It was when I knew who won. When I checked the notes today was when I knew who won. So
yeah, well, we'll just do what I did last week, and we'll skip through it really quick, except for the highlights. So.
Yeah, sounds good.
That way you sound a little bit more intelligent than you actually are. Yeah, that was my strategy last week.
Yeah,
keep it quick, man. Keep it quick. Nobody will know the difference.
There you go. Well, let's get into it, though. We had the Enjoy Illinois 300 this weekend at Gateway, Worldwide Technology Raceway, as it's known. And Austin Cindric, surprise winner, maybe? I mean, I guess
definitely.
he's got to be a surprise winner. Even a
yeah.
surprise winner for those watching the race, because with the lap to go, he was second.
Yep. I was watching live on my phone, and I turned away for something, and I was like, oh, Blaney's got it. And I'm fiddling around in the kitchen, and I look back at my phone, and I'm like, what happened? Why is Cindric in the lead? So I had to rewind and watch it over again. So, yeah, that was nuts. Eric, I was at Michigan.
Yeah.
The year that Jimmy Johnson was leading out of turn 4.
The year that everybody ran out of gas.
And then Mark Martin chased down Greg Biffle, who had the lead until, I think, the middle of the backstretch?
Yeah.
And then he ran out of gas. So been there for the fuel thing, but did not see that coming based on I don't know, everything that was going on pit road. I felt like Blaney was in great shape to get that done, but one lap short exactly.
I've seen my share as a fellow Michigan fan. I've seen my share of fuel mileage races in person. I've seen my share on TV, but never have I seen a fuel mileage race, James, where nobody knew it was going to be a fuel mileage race until the guy ran out of gas.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, even Blaney didn't know.
Well, I wonder how many crew chiefs puckered up after that
man.
with a lap to go.
I'll tell you.
But
poor Blaney, like who dropped the ball on that one? Somebody didn't relay. They had to know. Like these guys know so much on the pit wall, the pit stall now. They had to know he was close, right? They had to.
Yeah, and you got to imagine that the fuel can didn't engage fully or something.
Right.
You know, where it just
they only put one can in too, according to DBC.
Yeah, and that was probably their downfall.
Yeah.
You know, one extra shot of gas from a second can would have done it. I mean, he did not need much.
Right.
That's the hard part. It's a hard pill to swallow too when you've got it in the bag.
Yeah.
And it just gets away from you in such a wacky way.
Well, and I had to go back and look because for some reason I thought Blaney had a win this year, but he doesn't have a win yet.
No, he does not. He's been snake bit a little bit this year. He's had a couple of races get away from him here now. And you know, I thought one thing I thought was cool in watching the end of the race and the post race, Brad Keselowski gets out of the car and just kind of goes over and gives him an attaboy, like, yeah, you know, what can you do, man? Been there, done that.
Right. Yeah.
You know. But yeah, that's that was man, that was just strange. But Austin Cindric, I mean, he's got to put a resume together, and by God.
Well, I mean, does this help him where he's at?
Probably. I mean, he's in the playoffs now, so
right. Kind of hard to give the guy the boot that's in the playoffs.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of Ford drivers available now, but yeah, it's tough. Tough when the guy's got to win now.
Well, let's say this too, James. Like we say, he you know, surprise winner. Obviously, we haven't seen him compete for a win at all this season, and he got the surprise win on the last lap. But I mean, let's not be wrong about this. He was in this race. I mean, he ran up front all day. He finished fourth in the first stage, second in the second stage, led 53 laps on the day. So while it's a surprise win, he had a great performance on this day, but likely was a third place car. We'll talk about Christopher Bell as well here in a minute, but likely third place behind the other two, and manages to get the win out of it. But I mean, he was strong, and you know I wrote the Fords out earlier in the season, and now we've got Ford wins, you know, coming.
Yeah, they're starting to stack up here a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so, well, I mean, obviously they found something.
And going back even a little bit further, he's got a good history at this track, and then, which led me, I like to set my fantasy lineups on Wednesdays, and I always look at track stats and see who's had success. I'm like, oh, Austin Cindric, I'm going to keep him in mind. And I put him in my lineup, and then I checked the lap averages at practice, and I know they had with weather and stuff, they had an abbreviated practice this weekend, but Cindric was at the top of everything. I'm like, he's definitely going to be in my lineup. I didn't expect him to win,
right?
But I'm like, man, Cindric's going to have a top 10 day, I think. So, yeah, definitely way better than he imagined, and I think another guy who went the other way was McDowell, who had the speed, but then when he got in traffic, didn't have it.
Yeah.
Did not have the speed all day, but Cindric just was more consistent, more solid. And like you said too, this wasn't a winning day. But he led a bunch of laps and did his, did the job, man. Just got to be there at the right place at the right time. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Of course, if you want to call a car dominant on the day, you would have to say that Christopher Bell was the dominant car on the day. 80 laps led, then has engine issues. Is that what ended up?
Yeah, sounded like from the broadcast, sounded like he was down a cylinder.
Yeah, he said he was blowing up. I remember on the broadcast, but I didn't know if they followed up on it at all or not.
Yeah, he was nursing it. He was nursing it around. Definitely had some engine issues that were making the engine sour, which we haven't. I mean, you don't see those very often anymore.
No, especially in a 300-mile race.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He did get some assistance though.
Yeah, he did. What'd you think of that? I wanted to ask you about that.
I mean, hey, I guess it's fair game. It's not the last lap. You can't do it on the last lap, but you can do it on any other lap. I mean, I don't know if I was Martin Truex Jr., if I want to be relegated to, pusher all day,
Well,
that
he had
kinda
nothing else to do.
but yeah.
Yeah. Well, and his day went sour early.
Right.
And he just was kind of riding around the rest of the day. So yeah, he had nothing else to lose.
Why
Might as
not,
well.
man? I mean,
Yep.
you're there,
Yeah, he kept him. I'd say safely in the top 10 with that. I
Yeah.
mean, he was pushing him down the straightaways, and then Christopher was fast enough in the corners to keep it going. So yeah, that was really interesting.
If Christopher gets somewhere, makes some point at some point in the season with those couple of points, we'll look back on this and go, hey, Truex did that for him,
Yeah, and it was a great points day for him overall. I mean, he won the stages. He was really good all day, and was probably going to win this thing.
Yeah, 50-point day. He's the only driver that scored below the winner, and the winner only got 56. So
yeah,
I mean that's a good day.
Yeah.
He
Truex
basically won the race.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's got winners points, and too. Coming off of last week where he had almost 70 points. So this is exactly what that team needed because they were backsliding quite a bit. So yeah, this saved a really good day for him. So yeah, he definitely owes Truex one at some point. That's probably gonna have to come into play at some point. So
yeah,
that's a good attaboy.
Kyle Busch didn't feel like he had enough controversy coming off the All-Star race. Wanted to get into it again with somebody. Has some issues with Kyle Larson. What's your take on this, James? Whose fault is it? And was this another Kyle Busch temper tantrum, or was it just I don't know, was it Kyle's fault or Kyle's fault?
Which Kyle? Pick a Kyle.
Right.
Yeah, this was I was going to ask you this, but I'll say this first. This was definitely Kyle Busch overreacting and squeezing Larson. I don't know what he was doing there.
It kind of feels like Kyle Busch from about, I don't know, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask you. He seems to be
he's grumpy.
In malcontent mode again.
He's grumpy.
He's grumpy again.
He's running like crap. And here he is at a track that he won at last year. He hasn't won in a year. And he said going into this race, he's not concerned about making the playoffs. He's concerned about keeping his win streak alive. He's won 19 years in a row. This would be his 20th year in a row. He has been concerned about that every year. He wants to get a win this year, and they're not running good enough to get one. And he actually ran up front for a bit during this race. Yes, it was strategy-wise, but he was running up front. And then Larson pissed him off over nothing, really. And Kyle overreacted and put himself, I say put himself in a bad position, put himself in a position where Larson's mistake ended his day.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't have to race him that way, especially with one lap to go left in the stage. We talk on the podcast quite often about live to fight another day.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in his position where he's right now 17th in points, so he's outside looking in. He needs to have solid days, and when you get out of there with 2 points, that's not what you need.
No.
Especially when you have a car that's leading laps, and he left stage points on the table.
Right.
So, I mean, all those things, they add up over time. And if he misses the playoffs because of something silly like that, he's going to regret it. I know he says he's not worried about the playoffs, but come on. He's still,
he's not,
wants to win.
He might not be worried about the playoffs, but if he gets a win, that gets him in the playoffs. So
exactly
it's the same goal no matter what until we get to race, 26, and then it's a different goal. But
yeah, things start changing. Yeah.
But yeah, so my take is that it was Larson's fault. Larson got loose under him, but the only reason Larson's mistake cost Kyle Busch's day is because Kyle Busch was running like an idiot into turn one.
Well, yeah, and they were banging doors heading into turn one.
Yeah.
They were already having issues before they even got there.
Right.
So, and like I said, I don't know. That's on Kyle Busch.
100%.
Be aware of the situation.
Kyle Busch has more to lose in that situation than Kyle Larson, especially at that point, because at that point we didn't even know if Kyle Larson was still in the running for a championship.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah. Yeah, he's just racing with his blinders on. Maybe.
Right.
He didn't care.
Kyle
Yeah.
Busch has everything to lose. Kyle Larson has nothing to lose in that situation. Why would you
Yep.
put yourself in that situation? That's just
Exactly.
Kyle Busch is supposed to be a veteran, and he did not perform like a veteran in that
Two
instance.
champions.
Yeah.
Two champions.
Yeah.
And one of them was just being ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's definitely in malcontent mode again. I don't know why.
Well, they're running like
other
crap.
than yeah, but I know, but
And now Richard
mean-
Childress might be getting another charter. So there you go.
and
That's just what they need, right?
well, yeah, add another car to the.
That
to
should
the
help
mix.
him.
Yeah, and I know he's running like crap. It's just he doesn't have to. He came into last season. I didn't expect to get on a Kyle Busch soapbox, but he came into last season enthused, energetic, like ready to go, and that team launched out of the gate.
Right.
And now he's just sulking and sullen and.
But that's
dealing
because
with whatever.
last year they had low expectations. There were very low expectations for what that car was going to do. And then he overperformed in that car, which created high expectations or higher expectations this year. And he's not living up to it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Kyle's fault. I don't think RCR is strong right now. I don't think RCR was strong last year. I think they got wins because of Kyle, because things working the right way. Kyle hasn't been good in this car since we got this car. So,
Yep.
I mean, this is a guy who's seeing his peak years slip away because he's struggling with a car that he's not allowed to practice.
Yep. And when he does get to practice like he did today, he crashes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that's sidebar. He crashed at the Goodyear tire test today. So
Nice. I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah, he
Lovely.
he got put on the truck. So
Lovely. That helps.
yeah, so he's probably gonna be grumpy again this week.
I mean, I will say Grumpy Kyle is way more entertaining than Happy Kyle. So
Well, we've had entertaining Kyle Busch weeks here the last couple of weeks, so I'm good with that.
he was nobody's punching bag this week, at least.
Well,
If,
he didn't get
if you're going to
Ky-
get into it with somebody, James, get into it with Kyle Larson, because Kyle Larson is not going to fight you.
He doesn't want to fight anybody.
He is
no,
not
he's
throwing a punch. If you get Kyle Larson to throw a punch, you did something majorly bad.
I mean, Bubba Wallace hooked him and still didn't throw a punch. I
Yeah.
don't know what else you can do.
He put his arms up and asked him to go away.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Leave me alone. Don't pick on me.
Just pushed him. Yeah, pushed him back. He's like, I don't want to fight. Plus, Bubba's twice the size of that guy. I don't
Right.
wanna fight him either.
Props to Carson Hocevar. You've got that here in the notes. 8th place finish, best career finish for Hocevar. All I can say here is, Corey LaJoy, you better be looking behind you, buddy.
Yeah, Hocevar's pretty good, man.
Yeah. That's
Hocevar's pretty good.
he's making LaJoy look bad. Unfortunately, because I like Corey. I want Corey to get a shot, but Corey's not running as good as Hocevar is.
Well, remember, it was 1 year ago. Hocevar got in this car. Well, he got in the 7 car because Corey was racing for Chase.
Right.
So, yeah, this is, I don't know, second time around here for him at some of these racetracks. I mean, yeah, it's fun to kind of watch him. I mean, the guys at the back of the top 10, I should have shouted out Justin Haley, too.
Yeah.
Justin Haley is like, something's going on with Rick Ware. If I could talk, Rick Ware Racing. Because Justin Haley, remember last year, Eric, we're like, man, I can't believe Justin Haley's, going to be going to Rick Ware.
Right.
And what are they thinking? Like, Justin Haley's pretty talented. Well, you've seen Darlington and Gateway now, 2 ninth place finishes. And they're in uncharted territory for that team. So shout out to him as well.
For sure.
Love to see it.
In what these guys are doing, what Hocevar is doing, especially as a rookie in that car, you have to consider, like, we used to watch rookies come into the sport and win in their first season, but you have to remember that when that happened, they ran 4 hours of practice on a weekend.
Yep.
These guys get 20 minutes of practice if they're lucky.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they're not even in with, well, Gateway was different because of the weather, because they threw everybody out there at once, but most of the time it's in groups and they don't even get to see race conditions.
So you're not testing, you're not getting laps on a race weekend. I think it was DBC this week that said, it had to be DBC because it's the only podcast I listened to, that said that the stat now is that it takes 50 races to become to get where you need to be for rookies now. Yep. I mean, you're talking more than a season. You've got to expect these guys to struggle before they're there and ready to compete. And you got somebody like Hocevar who's running top 10 right now and performing well in a car that you and I think would still argue that Spire's not there. They've spent the money, but they're not there where everybody else is.
Yeah, not yet.
So he's outperforming in that car. That's incredible. That's cool to see. Again, Justin Haley, same thing. I mean, Haley's definitely got a lot more reps in the Cup Series, but again, another driver outperforming the equipment. So it's.
But I think we felt confident in Carson's ability.
Yeah, I think so.
To going back, but yeah, I mean, he is stringing along. He's got 2 top 10s on the season now, but he's only at the 24 race mark. So if you say 50 races,
right.
He's not even halfway.
Right. Yeah, and the thing with Carson is I wasn't worried about his talent. I was worried about his maturity, and he's showing maturity.
Yeah, he's good behind the wheel. I mean,
he's not getting himself in stupid situations.
Yeah, he's ever since he's been in Cup, he's only had maybe 1 or 2 things that you kind of looked at him funny. But other than that, he's been solid, just very solid.
Yeah. It was nice to see Cody Ware revisit his spinning out early in the race history, wrecking lap 2 or something in this thing. Yeah, it was early.
Yep.
That was fun
I had
to
it on
see.
the radio, and I was
John Hunter involved in it too. That's always fun. Anyway. just had to throw that back. Denny Hamlin gets a quiet second place finish in this thing. Continues to have a strong season.
Yeah. Other victims kind of fell back to him, so pretty good.
Brad Keselowski, third place finish, another high end finish for Brad.
Yeah, he was coming.
He's got another win coming, doesn't he? It's coming soon.
He's I think I told you in our group text, I was like, yeah, he's starting to cook a little bit. Yeah. I think he's got some confidence because he's just he waved off his crew chief on strategy, and it was the right call. This is his third, I think. Oh no, fourth. Hold on, I'm gonna get the numbers right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is his 6th third place or better finish on the season. So out of 15 races. So he's he's up front quite a bit now. Yeah. Figured it out, man.
Yeah, they're coming. Watch out for those guys.
Yeah, I thought Chris Buescher was kind of going to lead that team forward here, but it looks like the boss man's got something to say about it.
Right. Tyler Reddick, top 5 finish, finishes 4th. Joey Logano backs up the All-Star performance with a 5th place finish here. Austin Dillon, we talked about Kyle Busch and Richard Childress Racing struggling. Austin Dillon used the same strategy to get up front and stayed in 6th, finished top 10. Good spot for him.
What could have been for KFB?
Yeah, exactly. So that just shows what he threw away.
Threw it away. Yep.
Anything else with this race, James, worth discussing? Gateway's. I mean, it's got a pretty solid spot on the schedule now, right? I mean, it's pretty decent track.
Good.
Might not be the greatest race in the world, but it's solid.
Jeff Gluck's poll had it at just under 70%. Yeah, so
that's better than I would have said. So
yeah, I think the fuel mileage thing was kind of interesting this time around, but it's good. It's a pretty decent racetrack
for being a flat track. It's put on a decent show.
Yeah, it can keep its date for a while. I've got no problem with this one.
Yeah, it's funny because I mean it's still a pretty new, fresh track to the series, but it feels like it's been. I mean, we've raced on it for a long time because the trucks and Xfinity cars raced on it for years, but it feels pretty solid where it is. I like that track. I'm glad we're there.
Yep.
So.
Yep, absolutely.
Carson Hocevar, highest finishing rookie, 8th place. Denny Hamlin's points leader, 21 points over Kyle Larson. This was Austin Cindric's 2nd victory in 94 Cup Series races, James.
His first since 2022's Daytona 500.
There you go. First real win, right?
Yeah. Michael McDowell's got a couple of them too.
Right?
He did the same thing. Yeah. Yep. First real one.
NASCAR Xfinity Series was in action as well on Saturday in Portland for the Pacific Automation 147. And some guy named SVG puts it in victory lane finally in the Xfinity Series. Great performance on the day. And, I mean, he did it. He worked. SVG worked for this win because he beat the crap out of that car. He had all kinds of issues, and he pulled an A.J. Allmendinger and came through the field and still got the win. So
he's definitely got the we haven't had this in the series in a while, but you said AJ, and that's a good one. Marcus Ambrose, Juan Pablo Montoya. Like when those guys show up on the road courses, you just like, okay, pencil them in.
Well, first of all, you get the hell out of their way because they're going to take you out to get there.
Yep, all those guys. The same
he's an
thing.
aggressive driver for sure. He's not going to let somebody get in his way.
All those guys, I'm glad you said aggressive because that's it. That's the key word. All those guys were the exact same. Marcos, Juan Pablo, like when they got there, their elbows were like sharp.
They know this is their shot, and they are not going to take any crap from anybody.
Yeah, yeah. It was fun to see SVG wheeling it though. I mean, we haven't seen. Yeah, I'm kind of bummed he won't be in Sonoma for the Cup race this week. Where I was really hoping we'd see him racing Cup, but that's okay. He's probably gonna win win the next Xfinity road course. So yeah, he'll be he's. I joked when he won the street race that he'd never win another Cup race, but I don't know, man. He's a real deal. He can wheel it.
Is he really not running the Cup Series race? Because the Xfinity Series.
Yeah,
is
that's what I read. Yeah,
weird.
They're strategically like placing him at different racetracks throughout the year. Okay. So yeah,
I guess
he's running the. Yeah, I'll double check that for you though. Just a second.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, filibuster for me.
Yeah,
I'll tell you in a second.
I can do that. How about the move when he just wheeled it into the turn and slid off the track? I mean, he was 4-wheel slide. That car could not hang on any further.
Oh my God!
It was just he was fun to watch. I mean, this whole race was fun just watching Shane.
He's.
I can't wait to have him in the Cup Series. I can't wait to have him in the Cup Series.
He drives the wheels off a race car on these road courses. He just knows how to. He's got the feel for it.
Yeah.
It's just
well,
awesome.
He's getting the hang of the Xfinity car because the Xfinity car drives a lot different than what he's used to, but he's getting it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I do have the entry list. He is not there.
Interesting.
Yep. AJ Allmendinger is racing the 16, and Hemrick is in the 31, and yeah. The Daniel Suarez is in his normal spot. Spire cars are in there. Yeah, so
I guess he doesn't need the road course experience. He needs oval experience. So
yeah, and that's what I was reading, that he was Trackhouse is just trying to strategically, with the money they have, they're trying to strategically place him in tracks where he can learn.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't need this one necessarily, but it would be cool to send him out there. But
yeah, definitely.
Maybe they were worried that Daniel Suarez could have a chance to win or something. I have no idea.
Justin Allgaier dominates another race that he doesn't win, finishes second, wins both the first two stages, leads 46 laps on the day. But Van Gisbergen's able to get by him and get the win.
I think the funniest thing I saw from the Xfinity Series race, obviously Brandon Jones had a crash.
Yeah.
And he crashed hard. And his car was so buried in the tires that someone said he was looking for Kyle Larson's waiver. And that made me laugh.
Yeah, he hit hard there in a spot that you don't really expect somebody to hit.
Yeah.
That
him and Chandler were, I don't know what happened, but
yeah, was that better than the crewman jumping on Jesse Love's hood?
Oh, that was good. No, that was the social media highlight of the day.
Yeah, I think that made the weekend.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
He fixed that hood, man. Yeah. He dented it right back into shape.
I mean, he was putting some weight on it.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Got a running start. Yeah.
Yeah, all of it. He put all of it on there. Yeah, off the top rope. That was beautiful.
It's great stuff. I love that. It was
good
so
synergy.
funny.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I would have skipped over that. That was good. That was really good.
AJ
Austin Hill got 11th place out of it too. Or no, it was Jesse Love's car,
Jesse
right?
Love. Yep.
Yeah, Jesse Love. Yeah, Jesse didn't have as good of a day, but
AJ Allmendinger finishes 4th after starting in the back after having issues before the race. So he was coming too, but
he's so much fun. He's so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
He should start at the back of every road course. It's more fun.
Who the heck is Ed Jones, who finished 5th?
I
don't even know who that is.
I didn't learn a lot about Ed Jones. This was his second start of the season though. He raced at Pete's Coda.
Okay.
He was at Coda. So yeah, he didn't finish the race that
Good
day.
for him. Top 5.
Yep, top 5 for Ed Jones.
Yeah.
All right.
Josh Williams gets top 10, 7th place finish for a driver that's been struggling. Parker Kligerman, 8th place. You kind of expect Parker to run good on these road courses. He did decent.
Yep.
I don't know. Portland's a fun track. It's not ready to host a Cup race, but I think a Cup race would be fun there if they would upgrade the place.
Well, I like these weekends because we don't get them very often anymore. These cool unicorn weekends where the Xfinity Series is off somewhere.
I agree. It sucks that they're off across the country, though. I mean, this is an expensive weekend for the Xfinity Series.
But It takes me back to the days of when we used to race in Sonoma, and the Xfinity Series would be at like the Milwaukee Mile,
Right.
and Carl Edwards was flying coast to coast, basically
Right.
trying to get over the entire weekend as he was running for 2 championships.
I'd love to see the Xfinity Series or the Truck Series go back to places like Hickory or South Boston or something, though, man. Just on
Milwaukee
those little bull
Mile,
wings they used to run on.
Yeah,
I don't care. I don't have a lot of love for Milwaukee Mile. I think that track's
Milwaukee
boring,
was good
but
with the IndyCar series back.
Milwaukee is a great IndyCar track because it's flat.
Yeah,
But it just, I mean, the Truck Series was okay there last year, but it wasn't great.
I used to love the Busch series at Myrtle Beach, but obviously Myrtle Beach no longer exists.
Yeah,
sadly.
you'd have to race through the neighborhood now.
That was one of my favorite tracks in
Myrtle
NASCAR
Beach was a good
racing.
track.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, these weekends like this, they just take me back to a time.
Yeah.
Where we had the Busch series all over the place. So.
Yeah, those were good days.
Oh yeah, the best.
Highest finishing rookie in this race, James, was Shane Van Gisbergen with his first place finish. So makes that stat pretty easy.
Easy enough.
First victory in 13 NASCAR Xfinity Series races. Not too shabby.
He was 1 for 1 at one time in the Cup Series. Big deal.
Who the heck's leading the points? They don't tell me my stat sheet here.
Oh my God, I can do
Seriously,
that for you.
NASCAR? What the heck?
Cole Custer.
Cole Custer is your point.
Austin Hill is second.
There you go.
Actually, I think this weekend is what did it for Austin Hill. Yeah. Cole Custer took the lead this weekend, I think.
There you go.
Looks like it anyway. Or pretty close to it. Widening that gap.
There you go. Truck Series also raced at Gateway this weekend. I believe it was rain delayed. I didn't watch this race, James. I believe it was rain delayed, right?
This was a tough day. Yeah, no, it was they ran it because we had the doubleheader on Saturday. So yeah,
Right.
it was it was a little messy, but nope, they got it all in.
But Corey Heim gets the win. Pretty much could just guess who won the race. If you guess Corey Heim, Christian Eckes, or Nick Sanchez, you probably guessed right, and they were the top 3. So
here's my takeaway from this race. So last year, we talked a lot about him already on this podcast, but last year we had Carson Hocevar just completely skip the Xfinity Series.
Mm-hmm.
Rumor has it that's possibly what's going to happen here with this guy.
Yeah, Corey Heim.
I don't know if he's going to spend a lot of time in the Xfinity Series. I think he's
might be racing a 2311 car next year.
Possibly with those SHR charters up for grabs.
Yeah, sounds like it. Although Denny said on his podcast this week that
I saw this.
Yeah, there's no charters to buy.
He's doing it.
I know he is.
He's always doing a thing.
He is.
I don't trust him.
Well, they were saying on DBC that this week they interviewed Brad, and Brad said they're close, and Denny said they're nowhere near. So,
well, I'll say this: Dale Jr.'s latest download. Dale says he and Kelly are still at the table.
Oh, interesting.
When it comes to Cup charter ownership.
Well, it feels like there's a fourth charter hanging out there that nobody seems to know where it's going to go, especially if we limit to 3 teams.
Why? I'm telling you, man. Sometimes
He's
I
nuts
hear
if he doesn't do it right.
Sometimes I hear ideas that, that I just can't let go of, even though I know they're extremely far fetched. But I just love the idea of Tony and Dale Jr. going, let's do this one charter, because Tony's gonna have the money.
Tony's so busy racing drag racing now and trying to have a family.
That's what I'm saying. This was my theory. If Tony's busy gallivanting around, why can't Dale Jr. be the guy? Be the North Carolina guy that's got the team.
Not in a million years.
And Tony can keep doing Tony things. Call it whatever you want it. Stuart Earnhardt Racing or Stuart Earnhardt Incorporated. Come on. Earnhardt. Well, let's put Earnhardt's name first. Earnhardt Stewart Inc. Come on.
ESI.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know, man.
Yep. DSI. That's it.
There you go.
That's it.
Yeah.
The Tony and Dale show.
I don't know if he can get maybe RCR gives him the 8 back, and now he's got the 8. He could.
Oh, he could have Kyle Busch.
Well, there you go. I was just thinking he was going to just take the number and Kyle would race. Oh. Maybe Kyle will move to the 3 when Austin Dillon retires, and
Earnhardt Stewart Rowdy Racing.
There you go. That'd be cool.
There you go.
I would see in my dream, I would like to see Junior partner with RCR. That would be special.
Well, that's another really good idea because there's obviously the history there.
Yeah, and he's got the 8 and he's got the 3. It would be pretty neat to see
the 8 and the 3.
Yeah,
come on.
But I don't understand why if you're Dale Jr. and there's a charter available, you don't jump on it. He's got the money. He's definitely got. I know he doesn't like to spend the money, but he's got the money. So you spend the money, and if you don't want it, you don't have a team ready to go because he probably isn't going to have a team ready to go next year. You lease the charter out.
Well, and that's the thing. Like these charters, since there's 4 of them up for grabs, they lessen their value for each individual one.
It's a fire sale.
It's a fire sale, exactly.
Now is the time.
Get in there.
Yep.
Come on, Dale.
Come on,
get
Junior.
In there. Junior, just get one. If Junior got one, if Junior got one, he'd eventually get 2, and I think he'd be happy with that someday.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It could happen.
It's got to happen. Come
Brad's already said no. We know that Front Row's got one. Sounds like I'm glad we're talking about this because we didn't put it in the news.
Right.
Sounds like Front Row and Trackhouse are like those 2 are probably done.
You know 2311 is going to have one. So who's taking the 4th charter? That's the question. And the latest rumor I heard is RCR.
RCR is available. Yep.
But I can't imagine how adding a car to RCR is going to help them.
Brad's already said no, so Brad's out. Assuming nothing changes, but
right. Yeah, but I mean,
but Trackhouse needs one. Trackhouse needs it.
Yeah. I mean, Brad does eventually want to go to 3 though, so wouldn't you do it now?
I don't know.
I mean, why would you wait until the charters go up and there's none available? I don't know.
I don't know.
You know what? Somebody's going to buy it that we don't expect. That's what's
possibly
going to happen. And who knows? If the deal doesn't happen to where they're limited to 3, maybe Trackhouse buys 2. You know?
Denny sounded like he wasn't too happy about the limit of 3.
Well, of course not. He built a shop that can house 4 cars.
I know.
You know?
He's got plans.
Yeah, they spent a lot of money on that shop to now only be able to put 1 more car in it. Nah, that's not in their plans.
Yep.
So there you go. That's how much we enjoyed the Truck Series race. That was our Truck Series discussion.
Hey man, you were busy. That's all I'll say.
Sorry to crap on the Truck Series this week. I will make it up to you guys next week. Christian Eck is your points leader, 31 points over Corey Heim. Lane Riggs was the highest finishing rookie in 5th. And Corey Heim has won 9 in 53 races.
You have to wait for a while for the Truck Series. You have to make.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's
June
right.
28th.
Good. I hopefully won't be busy by then.
The Truck Series is off for a month.
Yeah, gotta love that month break they get.
Oh my God. Yeah. We'll forget they exist by the time they come back.
Probably.
That's how that goes.
Let's go on to news. I'm going to take the second topic first because we're going to spend a bit on the first.
Let's knock it out.
Mike Joy has said he wants to return to the booth next year. His contract is up at the end of the season, but he intends to continue with Fox. You got to imagine that Fox would be insane to tell Mike Joy to pack it up. That being said, Fox has done dumb things before, so it always could happen. But I think Joy is probably going to retain his position at Fox Sports as lead play-by-play. Don't you think, James?
Yeah, I think Fox is in an interesting spot. Getting rid of Race Hub and all these other things that they've got going on, but they've got Harvick. Yep. So yeah, this is you got to keep Mike Joy. You got to have somebody in there who can.
He's the constant from the original deal. So
who that's the thing. Like, who do you get to replace Mike Joy?
You don't have a lot of options. Obviously, Lee Diffie's with NBC. Alan Bestwick's floating around out there, but you don't know what he's going to do.
I'm assuming Junior's already working on things with Bestwick.
Right. Fox has Adam Alexander, but he's not better than Mike Joy. I mean,
you don't want that.
I like Adam, but I think Mike Joy is significantly better than Adam Alexander. I mean, Mike Joy is not as good as he used to be, but he's still probably the best out there.
Yeah, he knows how to drive the ship.
Consistently, he's the best out there. He's not, maybe every week isn't the best, but he's the best overall that there is in the sport.
Yeah, he's more consistent. He knows how to drive.
Yeah.
He's good with whoever you put next to him.
As much as I loved Bob Jenkins, Mike Joy is better than Bob Jenkins was.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Bob Jenkins, because Bob Jenkins will always be my favorite play-by-play announcer in NASCAR ever. Even over Alan Bestwick. But Mike Joy is better because Bob Jenkins was a great announcer, but he didn't know the cars, and Mike Joy knows the cars too. And that helps him. So
Right.
but well, there you go. The other news item, James, we found out today that Kyle Larson got his waiver. It's
He's
official.
championship eligible.
He is championship eligible. And you took a stance last week on the podcast, and I was yelling at my radio as you took your stance.
Yes, good. I'm glad I got a reaction out of you.
I was ready. I was ready to argue with you on this. Because
dang it, James.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So James was on team Larson should get a waiver.
Yep.
And I 100% disagree. And I 100% disagree because of the rule. And I don't have the rule language in front of me, but so NASCAR created a rule when they went to the win and you're in system that said, in order to compete for the championship, in order to qualify for the championship with a win or by points, but with the win, you must attempt to start every race. They did this because they don't want somebody winning a race early in the season and going, you know what? I'm in. I don't need to race next week. I don't like that track. I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to go golfing next week and not race this race because they want their stars at every race.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've had several instances, which we have talked about ad nauseum on here, of drivers getting waivers, drivers being suspended, getting waivers, drivers injuring themselves, getting waivers. Kyle Busch famously broke his leg at Daytona and missed a good chunk, like a quarter of the season. Quarter
of the season. We looked up the numbers today.
There you go. Quarter of the season, and came back, won a race, got into the top 30 in points because that was a rule at the time, which is not a rule anymore. Got in the top 30 in points. Races. Yeah, won a bunch of races. Qualified for the championship, won the championship that year. Kyle's the only one who's done that. So the problem is that Larson, what Larson did is exactly what NASCAR is trying to prevent with the rule. And because they gave Kyle Larson a waiver, the rule is null and void. If Daniel Suarez decides to go fishing next week, he should get a waiver. He's in, like
yeah.
I mean, how is that any different? I get that the Indy 500 is a big race, but Kyle Larson chose Indy over NASCAR, and I get it. It's a crappy situation. I feel bad for Kyle, but he did what the rule is trying to prevent, and NASCAR said, that's okay. Now NASCAR took a week and a half to come to that decision, or a week if you want to consider the holiday. But I'll give you a chance. I know you're going to know where I'm going with this, James, because we've already kind of discussed it
you
a
do your
little
thing,
bit.
man.
But
I'm ready.
I will give you a chance to rebut now what I said, and then we'll discuss it further because my stance changes, but this is to this point, this is my stance on it. So What's your response to that?
Well, here's where we agree.
Right.
Let me start there. Just because a rule is in writing doesn't mean it's not like completely stupid and useless, right?
Yeah.
Like
maybe.
Well, let me
give me an example, James.
So let's just say, for example, that you're driving down I-75, which is anywhere from 70 to 75, right?
Oh, we're gonna go with the speed limit argument. All right.
Yeah, we're gonna go with the speed limit argument.
All right, let's go with the
and then there's a big long bend, and they say, no, you have to slow down to 45 miles an hour. Are you slowing down to exactly 45 miles an hour, Eric?
Depends on if it's a white sign or a yellow sign, James.
There you go. Well, he's not slowing down. Let me tell you that. This is my whole point with this whole thing, though.
Here's the thing, though. Before you go there, I'm not saying Kyle Larson did anything wrong.
No.
I think Kyle Larson made the right decision. And I also will say that if Kyle Larson made that decision and NASCAR came back and said, sorry, you can race the rest of the season, but you're not going to run for a championship, that would have been a giant mistake.
Huge mistake.
Not only that, but should Kyle Larson then win the owner's championship with that car and not win the driver's championship, despite the fact that he had the points and the win to win the driver's championship, NASCAR would look worse than when they put Jeff Gordon in the playoffs.
Oh, that was so bad. That was so bad.
So
I try to forget that whole situation. That was bad.
So NASCAR did the right thing.
They did the right thing. They went around about it the wrong way.
The problem is the rule is stupid. And that's where
my whole argument.
That's where I come back to. No, Kyle Larson shouldn't have gotten a waiver based on the rule, but we shouldn't have the rule.
The rule should not exist.
Exactly.
The waiver rule should not exist. And I said this.
Let me go back to my argument.
No,
is Daniel Suarez going to take next week off and go fishing because he has a win? No, he's not going to do that. None of these drivers are going to do that. Nobody's going to skip a race because they don't need to race. They're all going to race.
Here's the other thing, Eric, to add to your point there. Here's the great thing about that. NASCAR's not going to go on their social media channels and spend a month of social media posts driving traffic and eyeballs to their accounts and to their races saying, Daniel Suarez is going fishing, guys. Check it out.
I mean, that's true, but they also just fined Ricky Stenhouse $75,000 for a fight that they promoted too. Yeah, so
that money Ricky will not pay that entire amount. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Right.
He'll get some of that back by the time this whole thing's done. But that's the thing, man. It's a stupid rule, and we all know it's stupid. And we laughed at this rule we laughed at this rule since they gave Kyle Busch a waiver. Yes.
And especially since they gave Chase Elliott a waiver for breaking his leg or his hip or whatever the heck he broke, or his knee, outside of a race car.
Tony Stewart, here's another good example.
Yeah.
Was dune buggying for his final season with Jeff Gordon and decided to launch it off of a dune and broke his back.
Yep.
Got a waiver, won at Sonoma, made the playoffs.
Yep.
And missed, I think, 6 or 7 races that season.
This rule has had no teeth since it was created.
It's the dumbest rule ever.
Yep.
It's the dumbest thing ever.
It's dumber than the yellow line rule at super speedways.
And I said to you, and this was before Elton Sawyer hopped on and did his interview. I said to you, the penalty is missing out on the points from the race because that's going to come back to haunt him at some point. And that's exactly what Elton Sawyer said. He missed a race and missed a chance at 70 points. Because it's the longest race of the year, even though we all know what happened.
Yep. And I will argue too, to go against my argument, the other difference here is that Kyle Larson did not just go on vacation for the week and skip the race. He was trying to get back.
He qualified.
Rain pushed him to where he couldn't start the race, and he was still planning to race. The race was called before he got in the car. So, there are extenuating circumstances where you could argue that, well, the rule still does kind of apply, but the rule's stupid. Just get rid of the rule.
It's so dumb. What happens if I don't want to? Boy, I better watch how I word this. What happens if both races start on time, but let's just say, oh man, the jet didn't get, didn't get enough fuel. We have to land somewhere and get more fuel.
Or they hit weather and they have to divert.
Yes, exactly. Right. Are we going to delay it a week because of that situation?
Right.
No.
What the hell took a week and a half to make this decision?
It was a power move, and I will not be convinced otherwise. It was a NASCAR power move. They wanted to.
They wanted to make him nervous.
They wanted to make him sweat. Yeah. And
so you don't think it was like one person in the tower saying, I don't think that we should do this, and they had to convince them? You think it was?
No,
you think the whole thing was intentional?
I think it was all intentional. I think they said this is not going to happen again on our watch.
I didn't think about that, but you're probably right.
This rule is going to change after this. They can't keep it the same. Yeah. I think it should be abolished, but that's that was my whole point last week. It's a dumb rule. I can't believe that it took. I thought for sure when I did the pod last week, I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk about this, and by the time Eric comes back, it'll be already. We'll touch on it, and that'll be it. Nope. That son of a gun dragged down all the way till today. 1 whole week from that whole conversation. I cannot believe it made it that long.
Why don't you think that? Why don't they just make the rule that you have to declare your eligibility for the championship? Because you can't switch championships. You start over in different championships. So let's say, for example, if Kyle Busch decided today that he was going to switch to the truck series and race for the championship there, they would let him compete starting today for the truck series championship. They did that with Ross Chastain before, didn't they?
Yep.
So why not just that be the rule that you have to declare for that championship, then you have to qualify elsewhere. Otherwise, I mean, I'm good with putting back the top 30 or top 35 in too, to where you don't have somebody who just runs one race and wins a race and now, they're in the championship. Well, that's obvious. I mean, you have to write a rule that can't qualify you. I mean, you could even write the rule that you have to make an attempt to start the majority of the races or something. The rule the way it is dumb.
Well, and I saw this, and my apologies. Somebody posted something similar to this point on Twitter. I'm gonna steal the point. Why not be allowed to request a waiver in advance as a precaution?
Yeah,
because
that's true. You can't request it until after the fact.
Exactly. Why couldn't Hendrick Motorsports, a month ago say, okay, we're going to request this waiver for May just in case something happens. It could be weather. It could be a delay. Like we said about the plane being diverted, right? It could be anything. We want to make sure we're still playoff eligible if we decide to race Indianapolis. Yeah. And NASCAR has no choice in this circumstance. NASCAR loves their drivers doing the double.
Mm-hmm. I mean, IndyCar definitely benefits more than NASCAR does.
Yeah,
but NASCAR does benefit.
Yeah, I think they both do. I think it's a great.
I mean, does it hurt NASCAR? Does it hurt their feelings a little bit that this is the one weekend a year that IndyCar beats them in the ratings, though?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's part of it, man.
Yeah,
I think that's part of it.
And Kyle Larson didn't hurt that.
No, he helped ratings on both sides.
That's true.
there was a it was the biggest story in auto racing for a couple of weeks.
So let me contradict my argument, James, because I just argued that the rule is stupid and maybe they should have something else in place. But the way the rule,
you want to add a waiver system?
Well, the way the rule is you have to attempt to start every race unless you get a waiver, and NASCAR can give a waiver for whatever reason NASCAR wants to give a waiver for. So maybe it is the best solution. Yeah. NASCAR can pick and choose the way it is on whether they think it's acceptable to give a waiver or not. I don't know. Maybe the problem here, James, is not the system. Maybe the problem here is that they took a week to make the decision.
It's the optics. It's the optics.
Can you believe that Hendrick and Larson made the decision then without knowing they were getting a waiver? Because I thought for sure they had to know in advance. Or does it not matter because in reality, Kyle Larson doesn't care that much about the championship?
He said that. He said, I'd still race for my team.
And the championship that matters is the owner's championship, and they still got owner's points.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously wants to win championships. I don't,
Does he care? I mean, I don't think... Does Larson really care about that,
He's a weird duck, man. He's not like everybody else.
No, he's not.
He's not like everybody else. But
it's interesting. The biggest thing for me is I don't want this to... I want NASCAR to do more. I want NASCAR and IndyCar to do more to make it possible for drivers to do the double, not discourage it. And I feel like even the way this went, even with him still getting the waiver, but having to wait a week, I feel like it still discouraged people from doing the double.
It discourages NASCAR from going to Indy. It may not discourage.
That's true.
Like Joseph Newgarden said he would like to try it.
That's true. Yeah. I would love to see an IndyCar driver try it.
Yeah, an IndyCar driver should try it. We've never really had the Indy guy try it. I mean, John Andretti, I guess, counts.
Well, Tony Stewart technically was an Indy driver before he was a Cup driver, but still.
Yeah. But he was full-time NASCAR. But yeah, that's yep. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
I don't know. Well, we filled 2 weeks with waiver talk. So
I don't want to talk about waivers anymore for the rest of my life.
If you're going to get a waiver after you were suspended, you should get a waiver for trying to race the Indy 500.
Chase Elliott got multiple waivers for the dumbest stuff last year.
Yeah, two separate waivers.
He broke his leg on a mountain and then he got suspended. Got a waiver immediately.
Right.
Both times.
Yeah.
And Kyle Larson had to wait a week.
Yeah.
Nobody has requested more waivers than Hendrick Motorsports.
That's true.
Bowman's asked for him. Now Larson's asked for it. Obviously Chase. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's funny.
Yeah.
Byron's the only one who hasn't.
So far.
Right.
Jeez. But man, oh man, what a mess. it was NASCAR had to make a decision.
Well, eventually,
I mean, Jeff
they
was on it.
They had to make a decision for the playoffs.
Yeah, Gluck was on it, man. He
Yeah.
was like, this is going to be embarrassing.
Yeah,
if
it would
they
have been.
it would always get there. It was embarrassing. But,
Yeah, agreed.
man,
NASCAR is really good at holding decisions or making decisions that make them look the worst possible.
well, that's what I messaged that to you
make
earlier.
the worst possible, make them look the worst possible with the best possible decision.
I messaged it to you earlier, and I said NASCAR only makes decisions based on two things: how much money are they going to make, and how stupid do we look in the moment. And they were starting to look really stupid, so they had to make a decision. It's kind of like my theory on that is Bristol Dirt. It got to the point where it was extremely stupid and it was losing money. That NASCAR was like, okay, we can't race Bristol Dirt anymore. We have to pull the plug here.
They're really good at making good decisions at bad times.
Oh my god, yeah, yeah.
Just like more road courses, the year that we create a car that races too good on road courses.
Yeah, and is
let's
good.
add a short track to the season as the All-Star race.
God.
The year that we have a car that sucks on short tracks.
Yeah.
Yep. Great decisions.
Yep.
Let's add more. We're gonna add more mile and a halves, James, and then suddenly the car is gonna be worse on mile and a halves. It's just inevitable.
When I brought up the speed limit thing, my whole goal was to get you to go, is he serious with that? And I think I accomplished it.
You were pretty close. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
I was waiting for a good argument, and your good argument was about as good as NASCAR's decision. So
yeah. Well, see, you've only had to talk about this for 1 week.
That's
I've been
true.
on this podcast for about an hour of my life.
I mean,
now.
to be fair, I think I was messaging you immediately after listening to the episode about my opinions on it.
I love the fact that you just were like sitting on the other end and couldn't respond for once. So,
I was coming home from the Spirit game, and I immediately turned the podcast on the second I could and listened on the way home. It was great.
Like this guy,
Yeah.
shaking your fist.
I did highly agree with you on the Austin Hill sentiment, though. So
Yeah, that was my favorite one. Yeah.
I'll give you that one. That one was good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, the Austin Hill one. Sometimes I left a few Easter eggs out there for you.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, I picked them up.
yeah.
Any other news, James? Did we miss anything?
We talked. I think you and I talked before the recording started, but it looks like Dale Jr.'s got the 8.
Yeah,
that was the only other.
we kind of hinted at that here in the pod because we talked about the numbers, but yeah, Junior's got the.
Oh yeah,
8
we
trademark,
did
so.
already talk. Yes, we did. So yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, that's the only other major news I've seen.
Olive branch from Teresa, you think?
I just think she may just be done with it.
Yeah.
She's
Well, she
probably
kept
got
that
one.
one though.
Yeah, why? I don't know why.
Because she's not letting. Who's the guy over at? Is it Ty Norris over at?
Ty Norris, yeah.
Yeah, she don't want Ty Norris to have that one because they'll go and slap that number in the Trackhouse car, and she don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
She's got issues with him. So
I did see another news item a little bit ago. Matt Weaver said that the 4 team at Stewart-Haas is like they want to go wherever they go. They want to go as a unit.
Interesting.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
And Dale Jr. has been singing the praises of Josh Berry. So
Right.
maybe I don't know.
There you go. Yeah, I know you talked about Stewart-Haas last week, but that's the biggest thing about this situation is, we sit here and make our comments about Tony doesn't care anymore or whatever. Or I make the comments, I guess. You don't usually rip on Tony too bad. I do.
I'm not afraid to if I have to, but yeah, I got you.
But we're talking a lot of jobs right now that are going to go.
Yeah, that's the.
And it's interesting too because I was thinking about they've got this really nice shop, and I'm thinking, well, some other team will move in there, but they're not going to because it's on Haas's campus. You're not going to have another team come in there and use that shop. That's a Haas building.
Yeah.
So it's not like another team dissolving and selling their stuff off. That building's probably just going to become part of Haas automation.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
So I don't know. It's tough for all those people looking for jobs. Hopefully, there's a lot of good people there. Hopefully they find something. It's certainly going to be an influx to a bunch of the other teams because there is a lot of talent there. But there's not room for everybody. But as they said on DBC, the nice thing is that this is part of the charter system. Is there are now 4 charters going somewhere else. There are 4 cars that will be fielded somewhere else. So in theory, there should be room for those 4 teams worth of people to go somewhere else because those teams that are adopting those charters need people to run those teams. So,
Yep.
So it won't work perfectly like that, but at least it helps.
Yeah, and I it's some people are gonna come and go, but the really good ones are gonna have a spot. And I think Kevin Harvick talked about that as well. Like there's really good people there. They're gonna do good things. I would.
How do you like Harvick's shots? His line was pretty good about how have we gone from forever to forward to for sale.
Yeah.
He's taking a couple shots at his old buddy Tony.
Yeah, he has, and I was really hoping that Tony would come out eventually here. And I
where's
know he
Stewart
will.
been? I mean,
Yeah,
I know he issued the joint statement with Haas, but
the thing with Tony that I'm curious to see what happens here with him. He like that team. I'm glad we're talking about this a little bit too, but when he's motivated, he always drives success. You know,
right.
his NHRA teams, like they won the championship their first year with Matt Hagan. Like he's already, he's already winning championships in NHRA. That team though, they had opportunities to continue the legacy with some really talented drivers, and they didn't get Larson. They didn't get Larson twice.
Right.
They could have got him in 16. They didn't go after him.
Well, and they didn't get Larson largely because of Ford, and Ford left.
Yep. And that's the other point. Ford's not supporting them anymore.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is the NHRA team with Tony.
Probably.
But I don't think there's Haas side of things is pushing it either. Like they're not going with it. I'd love to hear Tony talk about this more in depth. I think he will at some point.
You think Tony will keep Eldor, or you think he's going to get rid of that too?
I think he'll keep a handful of things.
Yeah.
But it seems like he's
paring things down.
Yeah, I don't know if he's settling into retirement or what, but
I don't know. Well, he drives a dragster 320 miles an hour.
Yeah, and he's got his possible family that he's, whatever's going on with that whole situation. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's disappointing. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, I'm bummed for it too. I liked having Tony in the Cup Series and have him still have a presence, although he really hasn't the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's just he's just not in it right now.
Nope.
Which it sucks. It's better when he's around.
It's all Danica's fault.
Yeah, she started that.
She did.
Started this whole thing. Yeah. It's Danica's fault.
With that, James, we're going to Sonoma Raceway. Well, we're not, but NASCAR is going to Sonoma Raceway this weekend. The Toyota Save Mart 350 Sunday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. NASCAR Xfinity Series has the Zip Buy Now Pay Later 250 Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And we get to make our picks. And I'm going to let you go first, James, because I know you whined on the podcast because you were supposed to go first last week.
Oh, I don't care. Go ahead.
You were supposed to go first last week, but you let me go first because I gave you my pick through the text, blah, 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 wham, wham, wham.
You actually listened to the whole thing.
I did. I listened to every minute of it, dude. All the way to the end. You even did Let's Go Racing at the end. I was proud.
I did everything. I did
proud.
everything you told me to do.
Yeah, I was very proud. So go ahead. You get to go. You get
like
first pick.
Like a proud papa.
Yeah. Who's your pick this week at Sonoma?
Yeah, pick for me. Man, oh man. You know who's really good at road courses?
Yeah.
Who doesn't have a win yet, but he's gonna get one.
Damn it! You're gonna pick my pick.
It's gonna be Chris Buescher.
You picked my pick, you jerk. Shouldn't have let you go first.
Yeah, you shouldn't have let me go. Yeah, Chris Buescher last two races here, he's got a third place average finish. Hasn't led all the laps, but there's a couple of guys who are really good. He's just kind of in a group of them. But remember, AJ's in this race too, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick last year's winner. Then I'm gonna go with Daniel Suarez as my pick.
Danny Suarez. All right.
But yes, I was very much going to go with Chris Buescher. He's on my list. I'm like, yeah, you know what? He's finished well here. He runs well on all road courses. He's underrated. James won't even see him coming. And damn
Chris
it, you picked him.
Buescher, I'll take him. I was thinking about taking Mac, but
yeah,
I'm upset with Mac. He messed up my whole fantasy day. So
I was thinking about taking Brad, but Brad's just not great on road courses.
He's not good on road courses, no.
He's got. I mean, he ran up front at the Watkins Glen race, the oil slick race.
Yep.
And that's about like the only time he's ever done it. So
have we forgotten how good Chase Elliott was at one point?
I know Chase was on my list too.
Okay.
But I don't know.
There's another one that we haven't said. We should say
Kyle Larson.
Well, no. Well, yeah, he's part of it.
I mean, Larson is expected everywhere.
Although he doesn't have the finishes here that he should. Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, Reddick's another good pick.
He's a good road course racer, man.
Ross Chastain's a good road course racer.
Ross Chastain's a really good road course racer.
I mean, three-quarters of the field anymore are good road course racers.
Yeah,
so.
Joey Logano's good. Truex. We haven't even said Truex. He's won here recently. Yep. Cindric is good on these road courses.
Momentum this week for him.
Kyle Busch is good on road courses. We've got a lot of good road course racers now, man. A lot of good ones.
Yeah. More good ones than bad ones.
Yeah. Bubba Wallace is even getting better.
Bubba could be in the conversation.
He might be in the conversation, yep.
I don't know. For some reason, I feel like Bubba would be more in the conversation at somewhere like Watkins Glen.
Yeah, Sonoma's a little trickier. Yeah. Sonoma's definitely is the most unique road course I'd say we go to. Not Chicago related. That's different.
Right. Yeah, Chicago's definitely its own beast.
Yeah. Yes, Sonoma with the repave should be interesting.
Yeah, that is true. We do have a repave this week, so we don't know what to expect.
It looks a little funky. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Not very. It looks like the Detroit street race with some of the bumps I've seen, but we'll see. We'll see.
Bumps are good. Let's rattle some brains.
Yeah, not too much. Not too much.
Yeah, right.
Not too much.
Yeah, we've done enough of that in this car.
Yes, we have.
How'd the fantasy league go, James?
Well, I mentioned Mac. So I had my phone on me and I substituted Kyle Busch for Michael McDowell. And I was like, I'm good. I left my phone in my truck because I was unloading my camper out of storage. And came back to my phone. The swap was locked and Kyle Busch had 2 points. And I said, what the hell happened? Little did I know. So, with that being said, I still had a pretty good day. The winner for the week, Hot Rod Todd, he had 237. Jeff Gordon for GOAT, 236. So 1 point victory there. I was third. Barron Speedway, also third. Eric, your busy week resulted in a P17.
Jeez, are you serious?
Yeah, P17.
So I literally went. Well, the week before I forgot to pick.
I nailed my roster outside of Kyle Busch though, and I had Blaney, so that cost me at the end. But
the week before I forgot to pick. This week I went on Racing Reference and I used their fantasy thing to make my pick, and it failed me badly.
It failed you badly. Yes, P17.
God, I won't do that again.
Yeah, I gotta make up some points now. I gotta do something. But
I will go back. I will go back to throwing crap at the wall
just randomly.
Yeah, that's pretty much my strategy.
It's a good idea.
Yeah,
you can do that.
Yeah, it works great. As you can see, I've won so many races this year.
So we have a 3-team breakaway at the front. Team Justin, Smoking Grill, and Cole Custer. They're all between. Team Justin's got 29.18. Cole Custer's at 28.95. So they are like those three, and then Ranger's right there.
Of course he is.
So he's back in the mix, and then I'm 7th, and Barron Speedway's 8th. Eric, you're 9th. So the defending champ sandwiched in between us bums.
Sandwiched between a couple of losers. Except one of those losers has won the championship in the past.
Well, and here's my I already gave my checkered flag. I'm gonna do my black flag right now too.
All right.
We got a comment on our the website page, right?
Yep.
Watermelon James has been revealed. And I know who Watermelon James is.
That's awesome.
Watermelon James was the best man in my wedding.
That is awesome.
So he's been trolling me from afar.
I love it.
Yep. But I did beat that son of a gun this week. So I won't say his real name on the podcast. But Watermelon James still beats me every week.
That's funny because I sent it to you and I don't think you ever responded to me.
All I said was it seems the mystery. So I wanted to surprise you. Be like, I wanted to tell you on the podcast.
That's funny. So we do officially know that it is a troll.
It is a troll.
And not a true Ross Chastain fan.
Not a true Ross Chastain fan. Maybe a Ross Chastain fan, but definitely a troll job from the start.
That's awesome. I love that.
It had to be somebody close to the vest, and now I know. Not a NASCAR watcher by any means, but the secret has been revealed.
Enough to beat you several times in the fantasy.
And I told him, I texted him and said, "You're just better at this than I am." So take it for what it's worth. You know more about it than I do.
That's funny.
I cussed him out pretty good via text message.
It's great.
So I won't repeat some of the things that I said, but
it gave me great joy to get the notification about that about that comment.
And the fact that I keep losing to him, that really sucks. Like, it was bothering me before, but it really bothers me now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so take some joy in that.
Good timing on the reveal then, for sure.
Oh, we'll keep the Watermelon James tally. I think he's up 7-4. So we'll keep watch for the rest of the season. I got work to do. This has been a bad fantasy season for me all the way around. Now I'm getting trolled.
Right.
Just man, sucks.
All right. My checkered flags and black flags. I'll start with my black flag. I've kind of already said both of these already, but black flag to NASCAR for taking so long to make the waiver decision on Larson. Kind of was disconnected with everything else, so that's the best I got. Checkered flag, James already gave you a bunch of praise, but I got to give you another checkered flag for carrying the load last week.
Good Lord.
Great job on the podcast. I don't know why I'm here, but I'm here and back. And glad to be doing it with you, but I know that the podcast is in safe hands if for some reason.
Now you can actually take a vacation.
I can.
Yeah,
Although there also was a discussion during that week about how many podcasts James has missed.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess I can throw the black flag here because James was convinced he'd only missed like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And what we determined that it's 7 or 8 now?
Yeah. At least 7. Yeah.
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 So.
It didn't seem like that many. I knew it was more than 3 when I made my comment, but I was like, it can't be that.
Well,
much
I look up, I knew it was at least 7 because I look up at my wall and I see the cover art for every season. And there's 6 on the wall, and we are in our 7th season. And I know that you miss 1 a year because you go on vacation. So I knew there was at least 7. There had to be.
Well, and there was the year you went to MIS and you got you did a bunch of mini pods.
Yeah, I don't know how much I count those because there was also Chicagoland. I did the one with Barron Speedway, but that was just an interview podcast. I had Orange Cone on. That was just an interview podcast. I don't know how much those count. I won't count those against you, but regular podcast, I figured you were right around that.
Yeah, Aaron Bearden subbed me out once. I've had good subs. Todd obviously has subbed for me. Derek Winter, I mean,
for some reason I come back to you, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, no, I learned why last week, so there you go.
And now I got you arguing in the car without me even being able to hear you. So
that's good stuff. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, that's great. That makes my day.
James skipped short track corner last week, so I got a bunch this week. Short track corner is nice and long, but I'll burn through it pretty fast. I'm going to struggle with this name. I actually put the pronunciation in my notes because I struggle with it. But Chase Pinsonneault won his first JEGS CRA All Star Tour race at Owosso Speedway over Memorial Day weekend. Chase is Carson Hocevar's driver, drives Carson Hocevar's car in the series. So good for him on getting the win. The JEGS CRA All Star Tour is back in action this Sunday with the Spartan 100 at Owosso Speedway down in Lansing. I'll be down there to cover that. It is the first time the All Star Tour is competed there, so that'll be a cool race. Little quarter-mile bull ring. One of the locations of the former bleachers from MIS is Owosso Speedway.
Oh,
that's their front stretch grandstand. Oh yeah, it's amazing how big those bleachers look. So small at Michigan, but next to a quarter-mile racetrack, they are humongous.
Oh, they look big at Berlin.
Well,
when you go to Berlin.
Yeah, and this track's half the size of Berlin. So.
Yep.
Wednesday, June 12th is the annual Money in the Bank 150 at Berlin Raceway. Eric Jones is on the entry list for that race. Berlin Raceway currently is revealing entries for that one. Right now, Eric Jones is the only heavy hitter on the list. Obviously, a bunch of semi-local drivers as well. Rumor is Bubba Pollard will be in that one as well, but that hasn't been confirmed, so I take that with a grain of salt. This race, probably not as big of a deal as it used to be back when the Cup Series raced this weekend during the season at Michigan, so there's not as many Cup drivers around, but Jones still making his way out for that one, and it'll still be a good show. Definitely worth checking out. If you can't be there, Flow Racing usually has it as well. So the race is sanctioned this year by the UARA National Tour. Speaking of the UARA National Tour, they had scheduled a race for June 15th at Owosso Speedway. That has been postponed until September 11th, basically just because of some conflicts. There's a race out in Wisconsin, too, that was going to steal some drivers away, and they figured it made more sense to put it to the end of the season, especially with National Tour race just a few days before that at Berlin as well. The Cars Tour races we talked about that were canceled at All-Star Week at North Wilkesboro have been rescheduled for August 3rd, so you can check that out as well if you're in that area. And the Cars Tour, speaking of, had a amazing. Did you see this 3 wide finish?
I did. It was unbelievable.
Connor Hall gets the win at Langley Speedway Saturday night. If you haven't seen the video, check out the show notes. There's a link in there. It's incredible. 3 wide coming on the line for the checkered flag. It was very NASCAR-esque and spectacular.
Oh,
so
fantastic. Speaking of the Cars Tour, we could throw this out there. I sent you a picture a little bit ago.
Yes.
What was the headline? Out of the booth and onto the track or something
like that.
Kevin Harvick. He's gonna be racing at 5 Flags and North Wilkesboro.
There you go.
So
the 62 Busch car.
Yes, not just a car though. What manufacturer?
Was it a Chevy?
You see that? Yeah, he's back in a Chevy.
Nice. That's good to see.
He's got no manufacturer affiliation at this point, so he can do whatever he wants.
Harvick belongs in a Chevy. I'm a Ford guy. I drive Fords, but Harvick belongs in a Chevy.
He's a Chevy guy.
Yep.
Won all of his big races in Chevy. I know he won a bunch of races in a Ford late in his career, but that man built a Hall of Fame career behind the bow tie.
Yes, he did. James, where can people find you on social media if they want to hit you up during the week?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/TheSuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the show notes there, old episodes of the podcast, etc. You can also find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, Audible, and iHeartRadio. Wherever you found us today, please subscribe and continue to listen for new episodes each week. And if you go to anchor.fm/thesuperspeedway, you can leave us an audio message, and we might just play it on the show. Also, if you're on any of those other sites, leave us a review, leave us a comment. I comment on the website. We see it. I get the notification. I will shout you out if you're asking for one. So appreciate everybody who's followed along. Appreciate everybody who listens each week. And with that, we'll be back next week to talk about Sonoma and break everything down. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.